Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of Foreclosurepedia Podcast. Foreclosurepedia Podcast is a presentation of the Foreclosurepedia Radio Network, which premieres each Sunday evening at 2300 hours. As you guys know, we've been talking a whole lot about this, pushing up to right now, the increasing change, if you will, in the property preservation industry. What we have is an industry, and we have an industry that is in a state of flux. We have a state of flux both within the clients, the order mills, for want of better words, whom are pushing both policy and procedure upon the shoulders, much like Atlas, of the contractors out there. And we also have a consolidation of power within the industry. We can also see, as everybody's seeing right now, an article that I wrote, the NPPG train wreck, what a PR nightmare. Now, with that said, we have a individual who's called in to us today. Great individual, like him a lot, Brandon Pribble Sr. Brandon Pribble actually owns AucionTime. He's up in Evington, Virginia. You can see here a little bit of information about them, about his town, Evington, Virginia. It's a little bit southwest of Lynchburg. It's compliments of Wikipedia. We'd like to thank them as we always do. Brandon, how you doing today?
All right, Paul. How about yourself?
Oh, can't complain. Wouldn't do any good if I did anyway. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about you and your company a little bit. First off, so I did a little research on you. Apparently, you actually originally hail as an auctioneer. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Boy, I tell you what, I ramble a little bit on podcasts and on the phone, but I just couldn't deal with with being an auctioneer. I mean, you have to have your stuff down pat. That actually talks, a lot about wisdom and about how the mind actually functions. It's neither here nor there, but and I presume you're also in the preservation industry right now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, Foreclosurepedia had actually originally become involved with Mr. Pribble by through a referral from another individual. You were having some difficulties, I believe, in getting paid from an outset called Southeastern. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I have a picture up here. This is Robert Kapulak. I apologize to everybody out there if I butchered his name, neither here nor there. But can you tell us a little bit about what is going on with you and SEAS, and by and large, what the problems
are? Paul, to elaborate on that a little bit, we started with them, and payments were on time, up to date for about the first 2 months. In the following 2-3 months, payments were a week to 2 weeks late, if they even came. Upon asking for payment and asking to be put on hold until payment was received for monies due, checks started rolling back in, and a couple weeks later, the same issue happened again. We asked to be put on hold again. This time they deactivated us in their system.
Let me stop you and interrupt right there. That's something I'm not actually that familiar with. When you say deactivate, what exactly does that mean to both myself and our listeners out there this evening?
To my understanding and the way the contract reads, when you're deactivated, you are no longer a contractor for them. You do not receive work, or you're not in their database, pretty much. So contract is null and void at that point.
So now that is an action that SEAS took, correct, and not yours.
Correct.
You did not deactivate yourself, for want of better words. SEAS actually did that. They initiated it and they did it, correct?
Correct. We just asked to put on hold.
Excellent. And so go ahead and continue, because I'm kind of interested in this actually, because the whole concept actually revolves around a term. I call it back billing, and I'm not sure if the industry even has a term for it yet. but it's becoming more and more prominent these days. And so if you would go ahead and elaborate more where the situation is today, whether or not there were any other companies that became involved in an attempt to instruct SCAS on what they should or should not do.
Well, back to what happened. We were back charged for declining a work order while we were deactivated. So upon the coordinator's request, we sent an email declining the work, which is written in their contract. And within seconds, she responded that management had decided that we would be back charged all monies for the bid approval.
Now, was that back billing then was that back billing going to be deducted from monies you had outstanding upon that property, or was it to be deducted from work you had actually successfully performed on other properties?
From that property, we had monies due, so it was we had already performed some services there. So I'd say 90% of it came from there, and the other 10 was off of another property.
And during this whole process, you were actually deactivated. So, and once again, this was not a voluntary on your part. It was SCAS that actually deactivated you. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Excellent. Excellent. Go forward then.
Upon that, we emailed, called with no returns of either. The only response we got from accounting was we were paid all monies due, minus the $625 that they back charged us for declining the work while they had deactivated us.
And so, did they say, for example, how did they come to the amount of that which they were taking away from you? Because I think this is a point that we all want to stay focused on. They deactivated you, and then while you were deactivated, they wanted to issue a work order, and because you're deactivated, you turn it down, and so not based upon any bad work you had performed, not based upon any errors that you had become involved with. They just, in essence, arbitrarily and capriciously stated, we're going to take this money from you, and we're going to take this money from you because you're deactivated, but yet you won't go out and do work.
Correct, for an out-of-area work order, and no, it wasn't for performing bad work or anything like that. We received emails almost weekly from coordinators with, pats on the back, outstanding job, thanks guys, we appreciate you, getting this back to us in 24, 48 hours or whatnot.
Now, we had actually dug into this fairly deeply. We we came to the understanding that a lot of the work that was involved with SCAS actually originated with an outfit called Altisource. And Altisource is also in conjunction with an outfit called Auction. And it was our understanding, and Foreclosurepedia has actually reported upon the fact that Altisource reached out to SCAS, and I'm going to liberally quote here, but they in essence said, regardless of what your policy is about back billing, square Mr. Pribble's account, and I believe the exact term was ASAP, ASAP. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
During that same court, go ahead.
While we're on the subject, just to throw this out there, we performed numerous amounts of work for Altisource and Auction, and love working with them. Never had a problem, and still continue to work for them today. This is just a problem directly with Southeastern Asset Services.
Yeah, excellent. And we actually we dug a little deeper with Altisource. We spoke with one of their assistant general counsels, whom I believe is in Luxembourg now. And this individual was going to look into the matter, along with, I do not know if it's other lawyers or other individuals, And they had asked that we wait until after Labor Day to issue any formal statements. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to attempt to, at least Foreclosurepedia is going to attempt to allow the system to run its course of events. And just a little bit more on SCAS, we actually reached out to other contractors, and we found this was an ongoing problem. It still is an ongoing problem, i.e. contractors just being paid. We're not even talking about backbilling, but simply being paid. We also would note that SCAS is actually, and let's see if we can pull it up here, SCAS is actually dealing with the sponsorship of a conference. And as everybody can see here, this is the NAMFS website. They are sponsoring September 4th's presidential gala. They have a fancy name for it, I'm not sure. But they're actually sponsoring that. And we were at least kind of left questioning if SCAS, owes monies out and about. How is it that they could, because I'm presuming it's $600 a ticket to get in, I'm presuming it costs money to sponsor things. Now, and this is an opinion, I suppose contractors could get a ticket and drink $600 worth of beverages, maybe to both make even on the ticket the money's owed, but, hey, that's beyond me. So that's a little bit about the situation there. We're going to stay on top of it. We'd appreciate it if you would keep us in the loop and what the end result is with respect to the monies owed on that. But tying that directly in, I'm going to focus over here on an article entitled NPPG Trainwreck, What a Nightmare, What a PR Nightmare. At the time that we published this, National Property Preservation Guild had a chairman by the name of Chris Silkowski, whom was chairman on there, and apparently there was a, for want of better words, just an enormous firestorm over on Facebook with heated comments going back and forth. But I'm going to take one of the quotes here. Brandon, all this hubbubaloo, I believe is how it is, over $625. Now, I want to personally say that I had issues with an outfit about a year ago called PPMS. Brandon Lambert and Jason Mathis, whom are also back in the news today for starting a new company. I believe they owed us $700 and $780 and some change. They were doing contracts on behalf of AMS REO and CWIS LLC, AMS out of Pennsylvania and CWIS out of Colorado. And so to us, basically, even $1 owed is a lot of money. Is that the same with you?
Correct. A dollar that I went out there and sweated for. Anyone that knows the details of this industry knows that it's physically, mentally demanding labor, and $1 earned is $1 earned.
Exactly. I'm allowing people to go through this, and everybody can find this at foreclosurepedia.org. But this apparently in part led to his issuance of a resignation. We never figured that out. We do not know if the guild was apparently planning to dismiss him based upon their social media policy, which actually is a very wise thing to have in play, incidentally, or whether this was a political move by Zilkowski to get his opinion out underneath the radar and to step away quietly. But this will actually, and we have time and again have had taken issue with a lot of the dialogue on social media with respect to both Zilkowski and others. But as a contractor, and that's really what I'm most interested about today, as a contractor looking at the guild, do you feel as a contractor that if changes were made, such as transparency and perhaps a little tweaking administratively, would you as a contractor be supportive of the guild going forward?
110%, Paul. We're and I'm not a body member or bod member or however they refer to it, but we're undergoing some changes now, and it looks like all of us are finally going to unite and stand as one. The old saying, united.
United we stand, divided we fall.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I actually have displayed up here right now the MPPG policy changes and transparency, and that's one of the things. And I'm glad I'm glad you actually spoke your opinion as a as part of the membership, as an actual contractor, not a member of the board of directors. That you feel encouraged and you feel confident in the guild going forward. This post that my readership is looking at right now actually deals with the fact that during this entire time, while the social media firestorm was brewing with their chairman, the actual board members, the other members, whom I would like to also point out, do not partake upon the social media Kool-Aid. For those of you old enough out there to remember Jim Jones, the other board members have actually been pushing forward in attempting to both bring transparency and also to bring some administrative control. And I'm actually encouraged about that. Have you had the opportunity to speak with any other contractors? And if so, do they feel similar to you, that perhaps with a little bit of tweaking and a lot of elbow grease going forward, the guild could actually become a good thing for contractors?
Yes, Paul, I concur with that. I've spoke with several fellow contractors and some of the present officers, and just with any new business organization, everything has growing pains and hiccups, and this is something that is a learning experience for us, I guess we could say. And I'm speaking again as a member of the guild, not
sure, not on the board,
an elected official or anything, but I think we're on the right track now. Some changes are being made, and like I said, hopefully soon we can all unite together and go forward and make this a successful organization.
While I have you on the line, I wanted to speak with you a little bit about about what's going on in the industry. Our readers now are looking at mortgage servicing companies under common ownership. We actually wrote an enormous piece on this, and apparently an outfit called Concentric Equity Partners in TDR Capital. And I want to take a moment just to dwell upon TDR Capital. TDR Capital is an outfit out of London, England. So what we have here is we have foreign national ownership, if you will, of the umbrella. But anyway, apparently mortgage contracting services, asset management specialists, and vacant property specialists are all coming together underneath one umbrella. We actually did a little research. There is a company called Bragenzer Group. They're out of Chicago, Illinois, and they actually opined upon this, and they specialize actually in the formations dealing with small and medium level businesses. But as a contractor, how do you have any opinion about what we're seeing in the industry today? The merger of all of these order mills, as I like to call them, or vendor clients, as others call them, basically into one hat. Do you have any opinion on that?
That's a tricky subject. They're good ones and they're bad ones. I think the problem, personally, my belief, the problem with the industry is the increasing demands for free stuff. You go out to do a grass cut and then you have to perform an interior inspection free of charge. Well, that takes 10, 15 minutes of time to walk through the house and take 3, 4 pictures of every room and document every nail hole in the wall and so forth. And I think what keeps on driving this is what a lot of us refer to as Craigslist hacks. And anyone listening has probably heard me refer to them as, the guy in Mom's Honda Civic with Dad's push mower and Grandma's weed eater running around doing the $15 recut. So I think that's where the basic problem lies. If we could weed out those weeds, so to speak, I think we could get back on track with pricing and demands of free stuff.
One of the excuse me, there's two fields of opinion out there about this merger. One of the opinions is the fact that many feel that with this merger that there's going to be a shift of the Wells Fargo portfolio over to Concentric and the people underneath them. Now, I do not have anything personally available to me that would would make me think that. This is just merely, in the Navy we called it scuttlebutt, and that is what I'm also hearing is the fact that Wells Fargo is upset, for want of better words, with both Safeguard and LPS for refusing to reel in their outsourcing of their photos to India. Now, myself personally, I think that's hypocritical. Wells Fargo does an enormous amount of business with its establishments in Bangalore and places like that. But more on point, a lot of people are believing that a lot of the days of the regional overmills may very well be done, that the continued consolidation of the larger order mills underneath one hat is actually going to open up the ability for these large firms to do business directly with contractors. Do you have any opinion on that? Would you rather be doing business directly with the heads, or do you like doing business with the regionals who take their piece and then give you the order from the head ups?
Paul, in any business, you want to cut out anybody getting a slice of the pie. You want to go directly to the horse's mouth for the income. So with that being said, I have a few regionals that I work for that pay decent. Most of them pricing is terrible. So if they, like you said, were done away with and us contractors were able to go direct, I think that will be a great movement towards the industry and get it back to where it needs to be, along with price and demands and whatnot.
While we're on the same the same subject, along with this consolidation is a huge move for background checks. I actually have an article up here in Irish Snapshot. Do you want control of your personal information here? Apparently Wells Fargo, Jim Taylor, and vis-a-vis the National Association of Mortgage Field Services met about 2 weeks ago in Kabul, for want of better words, to lay out this new plan, if you will, this new skeleton to bring an outfit called Aspen Grove Solutions on board to actually begin to do these background checks. And I did a little digging. I'm going to show everybody. This is Aspen Grove Solutions. This is what they're about. What they don't really like to push forward is the fact that they're from Ireland. And I think everybody remembers out there the Irish Republican Army, the 30 years of bloodshed of men, women, and children dying. And everybody always thinks, well, that was isolated to Northern Ireland. It actually wasn't. Matter of fact, Martin McGuinness, whom was actually engaged in paramilitary activity during the Bloody Sunday slaughter, recently, and let me also reiterate here, he was also convicted by the Republic of Ireland's Special Criminal Court served time for possession of explosives and ammunitions. He actually ran for president of Ireland in 2011. Further, I went to a couple of studies. One was the United States Army War College and their Guide to National Security Issues, and also Tracking Terrorism, a huge national security publication. And apparently Muslim extremism is on the rise in Ireland. Matter of fact, Sunday Times article quoted, these are people who admire Osama bin Laden. Now, this isn't in respect to Irish citizens, but to the extremists over there. How do you, as a contractor, feel about having all of your personal, financial, social data exported, or at least under the power and control of a foreign national in Ireland? Would you A, prefer that, or B, would you prefer to go to a courthouse and simply give your fingerprints?
I would go with B on that. Information being sent to other countries, so to speak, is twisting the wrist a little, to put that in layman's terms.
Yeah, now Aspen Grove Solutions, in all fairness, as the National Association of Mortgage Field Services, by and through their executive director Eric Miller, stated that the information was going to remain domestic. But I'm not a rocket scientist. I think when you have a company that is physically based out of Ireland, and if you're in Ireland and you're going to have to, from time to time, examine the data that is in your servers, I'm presuming that has to cross across the Atlantic Ocean. I don't personally think, when we look at Aspen Grove Solutions, and let's look at their team here. For example, I do not think David Sheehy, the QA manager, is going to get on a plane and fly here to the United States to access that data. Myself personally and Foreclosurepedia, we are extremely concerned. We are extremely concerned about this, not only because of the fact that we're dealing with entities whom are foreign nationals controlling our information, but additionally the price. And going back here, and this is something I don't know if you're familiar with, but this is going to cost some money. I'm quoting Chandra Dixon, Training and Sales Administrator of Aspen Grove Solutions. She says, and I quote, "Pricing details are planned to be announced then," and this is with reference to the NAMFS's September conference in Chicago. How do you feel about paying anywhere from $500 to $500 for somebody to tell you that you don't have a criminal record that your local courthouse can do virtually for free through the FBI? Do you think that's a wise application of your money?
I balk at that, Paul. Like you said, I just assume go down to the courthouse myself and provide the information needed, along with the ever-increasing statistics of identity theft and things of that nature. Pushing all this information all over the earth, in my opinion, would lead to more of that also.
We just did a podcast on Brandon Lambert and Jason Mathis, and herein lies the crux of my argument that background checks by third parties do not work. And the third party never knows who is submitting data. What they know is that they have received data and that they're going to clear that data. Now, when you go to a courthouse to be fingerprinted, you have to produce photo ID. And, arguments for asylum aside and voting rights. I think people in this industry should have the right to know precisely whom is working for them. And so you as a contractor, you'd have no problem taking your driver's license or state ID to the courthouse and being fingerprinted, would you?
That's right.
And I'm also going to presume that you would probably feel more comfortable if you knew that those men and women whom were around you had actually been background checked both properly and from a fiscal point of view, you know, at a price point that was affordable to all, i.e., down here in Granger County, it's $5 and you can get fingerprinted, you know, so.
Right.
But that deals with that, and everybody can see right here we have the podcast, Lambert and Mathis. They're doing work directly for Safeguard Properties. We have that proof now. We can officially say that on the record. We actually have copies of the work orders, the property numbers, the work order numbers. And so once again, here's the problem with background checks. If you do not have the information, you cannot make a decision. For example, we're going to go right now. Let's take a look at GM Properties. This is GM Properties. Let's go just a little bit deeper. Let's find out who GM Properties is. You can see here is their material on the North Carolina website. And let's take a look at their document filings. We're going to go ahead and open this up. We're going to open out and expand. Let's take a look here. So GM Properties, understand the contractor that provided us actually with this original story stated that Jason Mathis called himself Jason Green. Now we do see here that Jackie Green is the agent. When we come all the way to the bottom, what do you have? Jason Mathis, CEO. So I think that's also, you know, another issue to look at. You know, when we're talking about background checks and going forward, you know, let's make sure we know who's working in this industry. Now, I am not saying, and I don't know, and I'm going to ask your opinion in a moment. I am not saying that people who have felony records should immediately be removed from the industry. I believe that is up to state and federal officials. That's not within my purview. And I also believe that the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission has sued BMW. They have sued Dollar General for basing their employment specifically only on criminal histories. Most states, after 7 to 10 years, that's it. You can't use that against them. And with BMW and Dollar General, the accusation was that the criminal histories were being used in a racial setting, actually to ensure that minorities were not employed by either of those companies. Once again, that's the EEOC. You can read that on the internet. But, you know, I think I agree. I concur completely with Brandon Pribble on the fact that outsourcing our information to companies that are owned by foreign nationals is not a wise thing. Brandon Pribble, we'd like to thank you for actually taking the time out of your day today to speak with us. If you folks out there have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us at Foreclosurepedia, COO at foreclosurepedia.com.